Good afternoon, folks. Thanks for joining Dan and I in our Votacall One webinar series. We had quite a few people sign up for this one, so we're going to give folks just a few more minutes to join us, but we'll get started with introductions and some housekeeping items. I'm Kyle. I'm a project manager here with Votacall. I onboard brand new customers, and I see some folks here with us that I've worked with in the past and some new names, so thank you everybody for joining. And with us, as always, is Dan the Phone Man.
Hello, everybody. That is correct. I am Dan the Phone Man. I'm currently the director of our sales engineering group, although I have worn many hats over the years. So I want to say thank you guys for being here. As we get this series started, or we've had it going for a few months now, and it's great, to see people still coming to these events and just learning a little something about the solution. That Voto and some of the features that we offer, with today's obviously being button programming. But before we get started with all that, I think Kyle has some housekeeping items that he might want to share with you guys.
Sure do. All right. So in the bottom right corner of your screen, you'll have a questions tab. As we go through, feel free to ask any questions. Only Dan and I can see your questions, and we'll make sure we do our best to answer them. To the left of the questions tab is a polls tab. We encourage everybody to hop over to the polls and let us know what you want to learn more about. And we'll be back next month with another Votacall One webinar. Then over to the left, we have an apps button. If you click on that, we have a links tab. And in here, we have links for our previous webinars, a link to the My Votacall portal, which we're going to spend some time in shortly, a link to our a link to our training library, a link for Votacall support, and I'll let Dan take over these last two links here.
Okay. Well, and I think they changed order here, but
they did. I put them in one order and they changed.
No, it's okay. I see what's going on. Well, so the first one that that we can talk about here is we'll talk about our customer love page. And you guys can feel free to click on that right now and take yourselves to the customer love page. But that is a program that I'm heavily involved in. With our COO, Andy, who I believe is on this call today. Customer love is basically, we are not one of the big box store voice over IP providers. We are a boutique voice over IP provider. We don't have a, $1 million marketing budget. And so we like to have customers tell their stories to tell our story. Anyone who's been with us for a long time knows our story is support, customer service, installation, great onboarding, those kind of things. And so it's really nice to go to the customer love page and see some faces up there and people just telling our stories. So anytime you want to click on that link, or if you think maybe, hey, you know what, I think maybe I would like to be part of the customer love program, you can let us know. And then the other one that we've added just recently is we've added the LinkedIn page. Our LinkedIn page is a lot of fun. We like to have a lot of fun with it. Just last week, we did a poll that was talking about, I think it was comparing the 80s versus the 90s in some way. But it was a little personality quiz. A lot of times this week we're talking again about customer service. We're reviewing some of our Votacall values. But it's a fun page. We'd love it if you guys could go over there and, here it comes, Kyle. I'm going to do it. You ready? I'm going to do it. So if you could go over to LinkedIn and you could smash that like button. There we go. We were joking.
Is it a follow button or is it a like button?
It might be a follow button. Smash that follow button. Anyway, we were talking about how terrible it is that every YouTube page has that the other day. And he begged me not to do it. So I'm going to do it. So those are some of the links here. Again, you've also got all the ones that Kyle covered to get to our webinars and to get to our support team. Don't forget, as we go through these webinars and you have questions, you can use the questions tab. Kyle and I are the only ones that can see those. Fire away. Also, if after you're done with this and you go to try to do some button programming and maybe you get stuck, you can always reach out to us. You can email support@votacall.com. You can click that support button, inside of here. And those are always available to you as well. Again, we are 24/7, 365 stateside support, and that is free of charge for the life of your contract. whether you're calling us for a broken phone, or whether you're calling us for programming, or whether you're calling us just to ask a question about how you might do something. Maybe you want some training, all included. So with that, Kyle, I think we've stalled long enough for everybody to show up. So we can get started.
Sounds good. All right. So today we're going to take a look at phone button programming using our button builder. So we'll do a little overview, share our screens and show you the button builder. We'll show you the features that are available for the phone button programming. We'll do some tips and tricks along the way. And of course, we have the resources and training materials for you as well. So, hey, Dan, what is button builder?
Okay, well, it's funny you should ask, because I have a definition right here. Nice. Button builder is a graphical user interface, or GUI, available to admins and end users to make simple changes to your end user devices. So, in the old days, we used to use a different type of user interface, not a graphical user interface or a GUI, but we used to use a blank, and that's not blank, that's like blank, like this is a question, blank user interface. Nobody got this trivia question right yesterday, but if anybody gets it right, I'll be sure to we'll be sure to get you out a Votacall hat. But it was a blank user interface. So before graphical user interfaces, you had, and again, only someone who worked at Votacall got that right yesterday. We're not giving credit for that. They already have plenty of hats. So if anybody comes up with that, please just let us know. Throw it in the questions. Janelle, I do see your question, and we will get to that. We'll ask you a couple questions. We may have to give you a buzz after this. Yeah. But so let's jump in to Button Builder. Okay, and so what can you control with Button Builder? Well, at Votacall, we have standardized on Yealink and Polycom phones. Polycom, by the way, changed its name to Poly. So we have the Polycom VVX series, the Polycom SoundPoint series, the Poly Edge series, which are their newer phones, as well as all the Yealink phones. And any applicable sidecars that you can plug into these as well. And we will actually show you that during the demonstration portion of this. We'll show you a phone with a sidecar attached to it. Kyle?
All right. So what are some of the button builder options? So you can program busy lamp field buttons, and this is probably the most commonly used button. So busy lamp fields are, if I wanted to program an extension, somebody else's extension as a button on my phone. So for example, if I wanted to put Dan's extension on my phone as a button, I would program his button as a busy lamp field. And what that does for me is then whenever Dan is on a phone call, his button lights up red. And if he's not on a phone call, his button is green. I can also push his button to give him a call, and I can also use that button to transfer a call. So if I was on the call, I could hit transfer, push his button, and that would be a direct transfer right to Dan. So that is probably the most commonly used button is for coworkers. Another commonly used button is call parks. We've seen a lot of this come from folks coming off of like legacy phone systems. So on legacy phone systems, you would have line 1, line 2, line 3. And for example, if line 1 was tied up, you'd use line 2. But what would happen is when you put somebody on hold on line 2, I would say, hey, Dan, you have Kyle on line 2. And Dan could push that red line 2 button to pick up that call. In our hosted system, lines don't get tied up anymore. So kind of to emulate that, we use call park buttons. So if you're on the phone with somebody, all you have to do is push one of those green park buttons. It lights up red on everybody else's phone. In the same situation, I could say, hey, Dan, pick up Kyle on park 2. You can hit that red park button to retrieve the call. Of course, there's speed dial options where you can program external numbers, cell phone numbers, your favorite lunch spot. We also have intercom functionality. So if I were to program an intercom button for Dan, I could hit his intercom button. His desk phone would do half a ring, and next thing you know, we're talking right through his speakerphone. So intercom is only a desk phone to desk phone functionality. If you have a user who is just using the mobile app, you will not be able to intercom through that user's mobile app. Move My Call is a pretty neat feature. So say if I'm talking on my Votacall Go mobile app and I walk into my office, I can press that Move My Call button and it'll pull my call right to my desk phone. We also have the option to program DTMF strings. You're probably going, what is that? If you have a client that you call and every time you call them, you hit their auto attendant and then you have to enter their extension number to reach them, you can actually program a string where you put in the primary phone number, put in some commas, then you put in the extension number, and therefore when you press that DTMF button, it hits the auto attendant, does a little pause, then dials the extension for you. We also have queue toggles, which you're going to most likely see in call center scenarios where you have call center agents that would hit the queue button to log into the queue to receive calls. They hit the queue button again to sign out of the queue if they were stepping away for break, lunch, or end of shift. We can also program time frame toggles, which is another thing that we've seen with folks coming off of the legacy phone systems. We encourage folks to automate your phone system. So for example, your business hours are 9 to 5. Automatically at 9 o'clock, your phone system would ring in normally. Automatically at 5 o'clock, it would follow your after hours scenario, whether you had a different auto attendant greeting for after hours or an answering service. But with a time frame toggle, you control when you receive calls and send calls to your basically night mode scenario. So those are some of the options we can use with Button Builder. Button templates. So this is more for it is for administrators. So if we have some admins on this call here, you can create button templates and apply these templates to devices in bulk through the inventory tab of the My Votacall portal. There are some gotchas with using button templates. So if there are any admins on this call and you want to learn a little bit more about templates, send an email to support@votacall.com and we'll schedule a call with you, do a little bit of a training. Some of those are just like the templates have to be device specific. You can also create templates for departments. It's a great, powerful tool. So you might be asking, can I program my own buttons? You certainly can. And where we're going to head next to show you that, if you guys right, if you join us regularly, seeing our past webinars, you know we're going to the myvotacall.com portal. So we're going to hop over there and we're going to show you a few things. We'll do a little button builder tutorial, show you some of the features, managing those button templates and some tips and tricks. I'm going to turn off my camera so I can share my screen.
And while he's doing that, folks, I think it's the My Votacall portal is it's the brains of our whole operation. I just threw the link up there so that you guys could actually click on it if you wanted to. It is available to admins. It is available to call center agents. It is available to supervisors. It is available to end users. And so there's different views depending on what it is that you're doing, but it is where you go to access all the features and functionality within the Votacall One solution. Again, Votacall One license type, every feature included. So whatever you need, this is where you can go and manage that. And so we're going to show you a couple different things here. We are going to show you, did I mute there for a second?
Nope.
No. Okay, great. We are going to show you the admin view, and we're also going to show you the end user view and how to program buttons so that you can get a feel. The third way to get your buttons programmed, and I think, again, something important for us to review with you guys is always email support@votacall.com. If you want us to program a button for you, we can take care of that. Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. I'll stop talking, Kyle, and hand it over to you.
All right. So here on my screen, I am currently logged in as an admin, and we'll show you the end user scenario in just a moment. So for admins, you have two places to update buttons. As an admin, you have full access to the phone system, so you can come over to the users tab and click on a user. Let me find a user in here. We'll pull up Dan real quick over here. And if you hover over a user, you can click the edit button over here, click on phones to get right to the phones tab, and you'll see the you'll see the devices, and you can click the button gear icon here to manage the buttons. And another place to do so is here in the inventory tab. And we'll click on our phone hardware, and here you're going to see all the devices for your organization. And you can click the down arrow right next to my buttons to click on Manage Configuration Templates. This is where you would create your button template. Once you create your button template, you can click on multiple devices, or multiple different phones. Again, device specific on templates. But you can click your devices you want to apply your template to and click bulk edit and apply your template right to those devices. We're not going to go too depth into this side, but Dan's going to show us the actual button builder setup here. And again, if you're an admin, you want to learn a little bit more about button templates, please send an email to support@votacall.com, and we'll be glad to hop on a call with you.
Okay, terrific.
Hands up.
And with that being said, folks, I'm going to go ahead and start to share my screen with you guys. Okay, so I'm logged in now as our webinar user, and you can see that. And so from this main landing page of the My Votacall portal, you can see that I can manage my call centers, I can manage my faxes, messaging, all that good stuff. And I can come all the way over here to phones. But before I jump into phones there, I do want you to see that right here, it shows me my active phone, and then it shows me which model it is. And then I can click this little cog wheel here. And that's called My Buttons, so that's going to take you to the button builder. But I am going to click on phones so that you can see my other devices. So I've got the web phone and I've got the mobile phone. And then once again, I've got this logged in phone. The little green check mark means it is logged in. And I can click here on the little cogwheel again and get to my buttons. So let's go ahead and just show you what's going to happen here. And again, so first thing that I'm going to see is I'm going to see a picture of my actual phone. Now I can click up here on button 2. And it will show you which button that is. And I could also come over here and click on, the actual physical button on the phone, and it will take me to which button that is so that I can program it. Well, here I've got a BLF for Kyle and a BLF for Dan. Again, this is the webinar user. But let's say I wanted to add John from our team here, and I could click on his BLF. And then pick John. So I could have typed in his name, his extension number, whatever I need. And we're just going to call him the King of Solutions. That's who John is. And so he heads up our solutions department. And so I could just label that's going to say King of Solutions on the phone. Okay. Now, what you'll also see here is that I've got a sidecar added. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to click off that button, and I'm going to click up here, Sidecar 1. All right, and I've got a speed dial there for Dan the phone man. And let's just say I wanted to add, I don't know, just a cell phone of some description, or the answering machine that De La Soul used to use. Let's see, so that would be speed dial, and it would be 212-222-222-222. And that is the De La answering machine. Little trivia there for anybody who can tell me what song that was from. I will be happy to. I'll be happy to get you guys out of hat as well. Anyway, let's have a little fun here, guys. Okay, so that's a speed dial. Now those buttons are here now, but they're not saved yet. Andy, you cannot win. I know that's you. Hang on one second. So I'm going to hit save and resync. You can see that I could save this as a template, but I'm going to hit save and resync, and that's actually going to write those changes down to my phone. Let's see if Andy got it right, everybody. Nope, it wasn't Hey Boy. Oh, there it is. Ring, ring, ring. Yeah, you're right. Oh, I just gave it away. All right, you guys can't win hats anymore. Janelle, all right. Janelle, I don't know if you just typed that as I said it or whether you knew it, but either way, we're gonna go ahead and it's ring, 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 ha, 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 hey, but that's okay. So what we're gonna do is, Janelle, we will get you out of that. We'll touch base with you after this, which is convenient because we needed to touch base with you after this anyway to answer your question. Okay, so what I did is I just wrote that down to my phone, and if phone configuration saved successfully, and my phone is going to flash. It just did. And the buttons are all just going to appear for a minute. They'll all turn red, and then they'll go back, and all the buttons will be programmed. So if I wanted to now call the De La answering machine, I could do that. And so that is how you program a button. That's also how you can program the sidecar, right, on the phone itself. Okay, can you apply speed dials to a group of phones, or do you need to? Yeah, you could create a template, Carol. The thing about templates to keep in mind is that they will overwrite any programming that is there. So that is always one of those things that you want to keep in mind. But if you just said, hey, I want to create a template and I want to apply this to everybody, you could do that. as people customize their phones, if you were ever to reapply the template, the customization does go away. So the template sort of supersedes what is already there, and that's an important thing to keep in mind.
Right, one of those batches with templates. Yeah.
Yep. All right. So what I'm going to
Another
do
question
now.
just came in actually. Another question came in about the 4 bottom buttons on the phone. Oh, your screen just stopped sharing.
Yeah, I stopped sharing my screen intentionally, but
okay.
Okay. The 4 bottom buttons, yes. So there are the buttons that are along the bottom of the screen. Let me share my screen with you one more time, just so we can discuss which buttons we're referring to. So right across here, you'll notice when I try to click on these buttons, the little hand does not give me a little blue dot. It doesn't change to a pointer. And that's because those buttons are actually controlled by the phone's configuration. And the phone's configuration is controlled by Votacall support. So the quick answer to that question about the 4 buttons across the bottom is no. We cannot change that. We have our proprietary speech enabled dialer chit chat, and forgive me for not coming up with a better way to say that, but we've had people ask us to change that to voice directory before. We're not going to do that. We're going to leave it as chit chat, but those buttons are pretty much fixed. I think we've seen a couple exceptions for those in the past, where somebody needs like their page button to be on the first screen instead of the second screen for safety and security reasons, and we were able to accommodate something like that. But those buttons are controlled by the phone configuration, which is managed by Votacall, so not the button speed dials. Okay, I'll stop sharing my screen again, and then we can continue moving through this.
Yeah, we'll go over some customer success stories, and we have these broken down by verticals, perhaps. But we'll start off with a hybrid workforce.
Okay. So where do we use the button programming? Where can it come in handy in a hybrid workforce? Well, first of all, you can have BLFs for people, obviously, so that you can see if someone's in the office, not in the office, etc. When you are a hybrid workforce, maybe you have phones at home, and the like. So that becomes obviously, or you have multiple offices and people are working in different places. That's obviously pretty helpful, being able to program those BLFs and being able to control as an individual who you see without having to talk to your admin and do all that for them. The other thing is that, we have a lot of clients who have multiple offices where they work out of. So, like we have one client who has an office in New York City, an office in Fort Lauderdale, and an office in Aspen. And when they signed up with us, they actually put a phone for multiple people in all 3 offices. Okay, those people also have a home office, so they have 4 phones total. Now, we were able to create one template for those folks, and then for each individual, and we can apply that to all 4 of their phones. So if we make a change to one of their phones, we can just immediately change it on all their phones, and that is obviously a great way to use Button Builder and a great success story. The next one is executive and assistant relationships. And I know that there's some folks on this call here, and, I'll say hi to you, Tam, and we've talked extensively about button programming, and we have talked about how you, executive and admins and relationships and moving calls around can be defined here. So a BLF can help with that sort of relationship. Some of our conference bridges can help with some of those relationships. Personalized park zones is another feature that can be used in those kind of relationships. So again, these are big things. And then sometimes, it'll turn out that you have an admin and, all of a sudden they need to cover for a couple extra people, or they need to be able to see someone's on the phone. Again, they can go in and program this themselves. And then you also have that ability to go ahead and have us do it for you, or to have your admin do it for you. So again, powerful stuff. Key system emulation, and I'm going to let Kyle take this one actually, because he's already talked about this a little bit, but we see key system emulation in places like restaurants, in places like we have a couple big bowling alley chains. We see them there. And again, actually, I'm going to run with it, Kyle. And so
sounds like it.
You can't stop me. I'm a runaway train. What happens is that somebody calls in. Let's say you're working in a restaurant. Someone at the front answers. They pick up the phone. Thank you for calling the restaurant. Okay, it's a call for the chef. The chef's in the back, but they're on the line at the moment, so they're not sitting by a phone. Well, what can you do? Well, I can just put that call on park. But we label the parks to make it look like lines: park 1, park 2, park 3, park 4, park 5. I actually did this for someone this morning. And so it's just like line 1, right? So you just walk to the back, say to the chef on the line, hey, I've got this distributor on the phone. They said they need to talk to you about tomorrow's fish shipment. The chef makes a face like, oh, I'm trying to cook right now. And then they run into the back and they pick up the phone. They just press line 1 and they take that phone call. So it's easy to like move those calls around, and it emulates that thing that people are used to using, across the years. Also, we are, as a former Avaya business partner, done a lot of business with Avaya's IP Office product. Sold nearly 10,000 of those across the years. And that had park zones. So those are buttons that were used quite frequently. And so, again, we're able to emulate that behavior. And last but not least is going to be call center. We talked about the fact that you can have a button to toggle in and out of call centers. We do encourage, obviously, our call center people to use the My Votacall portal and to log into that, or to use the web phone, because it has the whole call center suite built right into it, where you can log in and out of your queues, where you can see your queues and statistics, personal statistics, where you can launch wall boards, etc. But let's just say you don't want to do that, and you just want to have a phone on your desk, but you're getting up to go to lunch and you don't want to take any more calls into the call queue. We have a call queue toggle button that we can put right on the phone. And again, that's just a button that you can program. Hit the button, logs you into the queues. Hit the button, logs you out of the queues. Also great for supervisors or for folks who aren't normally part of the queue, but just want to put themselves into the queue quick because they've got 3 people sick in the morning and they're going to help pick up, but they still want to sit at their own desk. Or maybe somebody just yells out like, hey, call queue's getting slammed right now. Can you guys help? Maybe it's an appointment in a busy doctor's office, etc. Flu season's hitting hard. Go ahead and just hit that button. You're in the queue. You can take some extra appointments. So that's another place where you could use something like that. With all that being said, we're going to hand this over to questions to see if you guys have any questions. And in the meantime, while we do that, I'm going to just be cheeky a little bit here, and I'm going to throw this up here again, and and I'm going to say, hey guys, go to LinkedIn and smash that follow button, will you? Not because we want you to. I mean, because we want you to, but because there's great stuff there that you guys can see in LinkedIn every day.
For the latest and greatest, give us a follow.
Okay. I always get nervous. I don't know if we did a good job when we get no questions, or we did a bad job when we get no questions. So Carol, I hope we answered your question about creating templates or so that you can apply speed dials. And again, if you want to talk about that more, just let us either know right in here in the chat, or again, just email support at votacall.com, and we'll be happy to get you on the phone with someone who can help you. And then Janelle, we will reach out after this and figure out what's going on with your mobile client, and talk to you about hat colors and hat styles. I mean, we have lots of hat colors, lots of hat styles. Okay. With that being said, Kyle, you got anything else?
No, I think that about covers it. Here's another slide with some links to our resources. They're in the links tab as well. And as always, we appreciate you guys joining us. And, Carol, right. Yes, I'll reach out to you, Carol, as well. And Susanna.
Yeah, we'll.
Yeah,
Susanna,
absolutely.
we can reach out.
Yep, we'll reach out. I'll send you my Calendly link, and we can schedule time and hop on a call to go through anything you want to talk about.
Yeah, and for anybody else out there who's thinking about, you're welcome, Fran. And for anybody else who's thinking out there that potentially that, I know we go fast on these things. I think it's really what we're trying to accomplish is getting the features in front of you guys, get you thinking about stuff that you might want to do, right? And then from there, you can get that one-on-one attention to get you to a place that feels good. And that's really what these are all about. So thank you guys for attending. We'll see you next month. We'll check out your polls and see what you guys got going on. And we should have a pretty exciting one of these coming up within the next, 30 to 90 days, let's call it. We have a new release coming out with lots of new features and functionality. So we'll be reviewing that on one of these.
Awesome.
And, see you guys soon.
Thank you very much. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.